Okay, so this is take 3. I did something stupid last video, which I won't say, but I completely screwed the whole video. So, all right, so in this video, we're going to be going over what is a pointer and what is a pointer used for. All right, so most people in programming do not actually use pointers in their program. Their programs use pointers, but it's all backend. They don't, know anything about them. So, what is a pointer exactly? Well, a pointer is basically a value that's a 32-bit value in most cases that is going to tell us a specific number value. And it would start out at 0x0 and it would end at 0xFFFFFFF, right? Because, that's like the largest value you could have for a 32-bit integer. And it's basically it's an unsigned. So, it's going to start out at 0 and it's not going to have a certain point where it's going to go into the negatives. It's going to stay positive the whole way through. All right, so this pointer value is going to basically tell us that a specific location in memory is where something is stored, right? So for a quick example, like for instance, if you knew where your friend's house was, 635th Noob Street or something like that, then you could say, I know where he lives, and then you have the address there. You go straight to the front door, and there you are. It's the same thing with a pointer. The pointer is basically going to tell you that, only it's going to be in a linear form. It's not going to, be like a 3D street based thing. It's just like, a line. Okay, so um, the pointers are going to be basically written uh, like this. And um, I think it's like this. Hold on. What is that? Yeah. All right, so this here is a 32-bit pointer. And it's written in hexadecimal here. It'd be much longer if it was written in binary. Um, and it basically points to a specific location in our virtual memory for our program to, go to that location and get that information. All right, so um, if we, for instance, had a value at, the location there, 0x400000, then we go there and we'd have that value. We know where it's at, that sort of thing. That's basically what a pointer does. Now, a lot of people wonder, it's like, okay, what is that good for? What do you use it for? All right, well, that gets a lot more technical. So I will be opening up Paint here, and hopefully Paint will work properly this time. Okay, and started here at the beginning here. All right, we're gonna say that this is our memory space for the system, right? All right. So we'll say that we started up our program, and it says, okay, I need to allocate some space in memory for this program. So it says, okay, we'll space here. We'll put it right here, right? Okay. So I'm gonna change the color there, just so you know. All right, so this is a space for our program here, right? So and then we're going to zoom in here, and we're going to say that this is that space inside here, all right? And this is our program space here, all right? So now we have this program space for us to work with, and we're going to say, if this thing will work properly, it's a big if. Okay, we're going to say that this is 0x0 here. And we'll go ahead and put it bold so it's a little bit bigger. All right, so 0x0 at the starting location here. All right. so now that we're inside this space here, um, this anywhere in here is where we can put any of our, values and stuff. We'd have to have that space allocated to us, but, you know, inside the space that's given to us, we can do anything we want in here. Uh, we can't put anything anywhere because, there's certain things that are mandatory for the program to work properly. Other things are required for when the program crashes, what it's supposed to do, so we don't mess with a lot of that stuff. But as far as values for our applications and stuff, that's going to be in here somewhere. And it's like from here, just looking at this, it's like, can you tell me specifically if you wanted, for instance, the main character's health? All right, you want to go into the program inside of memory, starting from the beginning, and you want to say, where's the character's health? I want to read what the character's health is, and I want to print it in another program, or I want to check to make sure it's still, you know, set to the same value, and nobody's, hacking it or anything, like an anti-cheat sort of thing. All right, so what can we do then? Well, you see here, this is a value for a pointer we had here. And, that's all well and good. That's a pointer, but, like, that's just a pointer. I mean, that's good if it was just like one character and it didn't have any kind of dynamic elements at all. No creation of classes and stuff. Just, a single, character that, isn't changed. It's static, basically. Um, that'd be well and good, but in most cases that is not the case because we create new classes and do all kinds of stuff with them, right? So how's this all going to work then? Well, to understand that, we're actually going to go in and understand more about classes. All right, so I am going to change this to green here, and we're going to say that somewhere inside of here, we're going to have our class, all right? And to keep this simple, I'm actually going to keep it really, really, really small values here, so you can understand it better. And I'm also going to try and keep it so it's easy to understand when I do the offsets. All right, so we're going to say this space here is the space that we've allocated in our program for our class, all right? And we'll say that our class is character, and we'll say that, we'll say we have, I don't want to put it at 0 here because I want to explain offsetting, so I will put this as waste of space here just to just to take up offset 0, and I'll explain that in a bit as well. And we'll say that our next one is health here, and our character is also going to have MP, right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and I'll make one more actually. There we go. All right, so there we have our values inside of our character class here. All right, so this is not created when the program starts, like the basic structure is, but when we do like new class character sort of deal, that's where we're going to be creating this. And what does that look like exactly? Well, we're actually going to we're going to open a new one because I want to actually turn it facing up and down. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to use the same color just so it you can understand that that's where that's going from. All right, so now that we have this here, this is going to be the memory allocation space that has been put aside for this specific class in memory. All right. So we're gonna say that this is actually at location in memory. I'm actually, you know what? I should write it down. Yeah, I will write it down. It to work. There we go. All right. So right, 0x1000. All right. So at location 0x1000 is at the location that we put this class in memory. All right. All right, so now that we're at that location in memory, there's a couple things we need to understand. This area is going to hold the variables for our class here, and they're moving me around and stuff. Okay, so what we're gonna do then, I'm gonna put this here, 28. All right, so put this right here, and we're gonna say that this is waste of space here. All right. And then we're going to say that our next one here is health. Actually, I have to make this wider. Or tighten this in here. I'll probably tighten it in. It's not going to look evenly spaced, but I don't really care. You know, I am going to make it longer just because. Yeah, we're going to make it longer. Alright. So, say that's blah. Okay, so I will go ahead and here do this. Okay. Wait, how much lower do I need to make it? We'll put it right there. We'll go down to there. That should be good for now. All right, so go ahead and put this here. And we'll go ahead and put oh wait, that's the last one, isn't it? Whoops. Okay, pretend I didn't do that. I don't need that. At least not yet. All right, so we're gonna say this is the end right here. And we're gonna do this just like that. And this isn't gonna look pretty, but I don't care. And get rid of that. Okay, well, I've wasted enough time on making this look pretty-ish. All right, so now inside here, you can see that, you know, each of these spaces here, oh, change the color here. All right, so each of these spaces here indicates that area of memory that is assigned for that. And you see that these are all ints. Ints are an int32 value, which means they are going to take up 4 bytes. So that means that each of these spaces here is going to take up 4 bytes. All right, so keeping that in mind, we're gonna go a little bit into offsets here. Now remember that this starts off at 0x1000. All right, so I'm gonna put that up here. 0x1. Okay, good. Just to explain that that's where we're at in memory. But the offset location, which I'm going to put over here, is 0x0. So that means at 0x0, we have the first variable here, waste of space. All right, so that means at waste of space, you know, offset 0, we can get the value of waste of space, all right? And that is going to be 4 bytes. So we'd go down and get, up to here and say, okay, the space here is equal to a value. And then we take that as the value for waste of space, right? So what does that mean then? Well, it means that in our offset, we're going to have to be offsetting to get to the next location. But, how much do we offset? Well, this offset is going to be in bytes. So that means that since each of these uses 4 bytes, we have to offset by 4 bytes each time. All right, so that means that this here is going to be at 0x4. And this is going to be at 0x8. This will be at 0xc. Okay? So, that can be a little bit complicated to understand. I do have a video on how to understand hexadecimal if you want to read that to get more information on how hexadecimal works. I won't be going over that here. But anyway, we start off at 0x0, right? And then the next one starts at 0x4, the next one starts at 0x8, and the next one starts at 0xc. All right, so this can be written multiple different ways in arrays, which I may go over later. It might make the video go longer than I want to, so I may not. But like the offsets we have here are the offsets for these specific positions in the class. Kind of getting tired here, so I'm kind of strafing off of where I'm trying to be. But let's see, back on track here. So for instance, if we wanted to get our health in our memory location, well, this class starts out at 0x1000. So that means if that's the start of a class position and I want health, which is offset at 4, that means that I would take 0x1000 plus 0x4, which means that it would be a location of 0x1004 for where we start health at. And I'll put that right here. Okay, so in the same way, offsetted of 0x8, that would be 0x1008. And then down here, 0x100c. All right, so you notice that, since this is offset 0, I didn't put one here, but you can also put another one here, which would be the same thing as the other one, 0x1000. All right, since it's offsetted of 0, it's the same thing as the starting, class. Pointer value. Well, not pointer value, it's location that is the start of our class, which can be pointed to by a pointer. Okay, so trying to think of which things I want to explain and which ones I don't. Okay, we'll go with that then. All right, so we've gone over, the basic, class character here. Now we're going to go over something a little bit more, and we're going to be going over what if we added a pointer in here, all right? And for that, I'm going to be using character spouse, all right? And a lot of you might be thinking that this is, isn't a pointer. This is a character class, and that is actually incorrect. This is not a character class. This is actually a pointer to a character class. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, if I go down here and I create a constructor, oh, come on, keyboard doesn't want to work. There we go. All right, so if I create a constructor here and I set, whoops, spouse is equal to new character, then that is going to be creating a new character, and it's going to be allocating space and memory for that. And it's going to be taking that location value, and it's going to be saving it inside of here. All right. So, like this constructor is not valid. I just want to point that out. If you tried to run this, then as soon as we created a character, that character would create another character. It'd go into its own constructor here, and it would create a new character, which in turn would go into here again, and then go to here, and then keep creating characters. And eventually, you would run out of memory, or reach a call stack overflow basically. So you basically run out of space for it to do any thing in the call stack, and it'd crash. But that's more advanced stuff. We're not going over any of that. But I just want to point out really quick that if it was just this, then we would be creating this new character, but we wouldn't have any reference of where it is. It's like if you had a friend and you said, "Okay, man, I have 10 pieces of gold. Go bury that at location and come back." And so they go and they bury it, and then they come back, and then you're like, "Okay, we need to go and get that." It's like, well, where is it? It's like, where's what? The gold. Is like, what gold? It's like the gold I told you to bury at some position. It's like, where's it at? It's like, I don't know. It's like you'd have that gold and it would be somewhere, but you wouldn't know where it was at. It's somewhere, but it's not anywhere where you know where it's at. So that's why we need to have something that's going to save that location. So that means that we'll be taking that new character that's created and we'll be putting it into this pointer, which is using a cast of character. So, we can more easily manipulate it, which I won't be going into any of that. So really quickly here, I will take this and go here, and I will copy this, paste it. And I actually need to make this larger. Oh. Okay. I have to make it larger. Fun. Alright, okay. Go down here and extend this just a bit. And I actually don't need that part there. Try this again. Alright, there we go. There. And I will go ahead and connect these. Alright, and just so we know that this is the location in between, I will put this here to separate, to show you that this is where this class ends and this is where this class starts. Alright? And fill, right? Yeah, solid fill. There we go. Just do that much faster. Alright, so you see that I've erased the the actual area it's at, but I've left these offsets here because these won't change. So we're going to say that this can be placed anywhere in memory that the space is allocated to. But I'm just going to say for convenience sake that this is 0x. Let's see, it'd be right after it. So let's see. That would be 0x1010, I believe, right? 1010. Yeah. Okay, so we're now pointing to this, whoops, we're pointing to this location here. And you know what? I'm going to check it really quick just to make sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but all right, I've set this calculated programming mode in here. So it, oops, so it, uses hexadecimal here. Set it to hexadecimal, and we'll see. Let's see, 10 C, right? Yes, C plus 4 is, yeah, I was right. Okay. All right, so this is basically this point right here, 0x1010. All right. So, oh crap. I seem to have forgotten something. But you know what? You know what? You know what? I can fix this. Fix this. Okay, so we're since these are both int32s, I am actually going to take out blah because I screwed up and I didn't make it long enough for all of them. So I'm gonna go in here and I'll put spouse here. And it's apparently gonna cut it off because it's nice like that. You wanna not do that? Try this again. Spouse. There you go. All right, and we'll go down here and once again spouse. All right, so okay, so it's really messy, but it gets the point across. All right, so now at this position of 0xc, it's going to give getting spouse instead of blah because I took out blah. Blah doesn't exist anymore, and I'm doing that because I forgot to make this long enough, and rather than make the whole bar, yeah. Okay, so anyway, where was I before I did that? All right, so we're putting this new class that we've just created here. We're putting this right after the other class in memory. And like I said, that can be anywhere in memory, but for this sample, we're going to say that there was space at the end of that class, and then we decided to put it there, all right? So here we are at 0x1010, all right? And what does that mean exactly? That means that if we do our offsets, like we did here, that means that we will be going to health here, and that is going to be 0x, come on, 0x1014, okay? So at 0x1014, that would be our health. And then we're going to say at this position, at 0x8 offset, 0x1018. And then down here, we're going to say 0x101c. All right. So these are the actual locations in memory here, right? And these are locations for the offsets. Okay, remember the offset starts at the beginning of the class. So this would be offset 0, and then it works its way up, right? And depending on your programming language, this might not be exactly the way it works, but the structure should be similar. All right, so let's see. What am I gonna do here? Oh, right. Okay, so uh, in the constructor here, it adds a new character and sets it to our spouse, all right? And um, this isn't where I'd normally put this because, this is just gonna create, an IFL and screw up. But for the basic example, we create a new character and we'll make that our spouse, okay? So that means this spouse uh, area here in memory, this is actually going to be equal to the starting location of our second class that we created right here, which is, our spouse here. And that starts out at 0x1010. So that means that at spouse in here, I'm going to have to make this really small to fit, 0x1010. All right, there we go. So inside there, that's what we've written. And if we go to that location, that offset, that is going to tell us that we need to go to that position to get to the class that holds our spouse. All right. And in here, we could, say, for instance, if we, actually, I'll just put it in here for now. Like I said, this isn't going to work in actual programming because it, just do an IFL and it would screw up. But just for the sake of this, we'll put it here. So we're going to say spouse dot spouse. And what does that do? That basically says we're taking the current class that we're pointing to here that's been created here, and it's the spouse's character, right? So now we're going to pretend that this is the spouse's character that we're in. All right, now we're going to go down to this in here. So now we're going to be setting the spouse's spouse. So we'll set spouse's spouse equal to this. And what does that do? That basically is saying that the current class that we're using is going to be set to the pointer value, for whatever the hell we're setting it into. So that's going to be setting the main character's class character to the spouse's spouse. So they're each other's spouse. All right. So to show that in here, that means that at the starting point for it, which is what? Start at 0x1. Okay, so 0x1000. All right, so now that we've set that, if we go into our spouse and we get that pointer value, that's going to take us to the main character because that's the spouse, right? All right, so let's see. I'm cutting out a lot of this. I hope it still makes sense. I'm trying not to make it about an hour and a half again. Well, not an hour and a half, close to an hour and a half. But let's see. All right, so moving on. Okay, so now we have these two classes, right? And those are in memory here. But what exactly, can we do with these now? We know the structure here, and you're probably thinking, we've gone like 34 minutes and I still don't know what pointers are for. Okay, well, we're getting to that now. All right, so now that we know this, remember in here that we said this is the class location for this right here. And just for the hell of it, we'll say that this is actually both of these. Just because they're in the same area and I'll feel like rewriting it. All right, so let's see. Okay, let's say that we have a simple pointer here in memory somewhere. And this is normally not how this is done because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do it this way, but just for example's sake, that is green. I didn't want green. I also want larger size here. All right, when I say at this location in memory, there is a 32-bit pointer that points to a location in memory. All right, and we're gonna say that this is at location 0x2000. Okay, good enough. Go ahead and put something that points and says that's where that is. All right, so that location is going to be a pointer. All right. Oh, it keeps cutting that off. Whatever, that's a P. It's just cutting off the end. But anyway, yeah, so at 0x2000, we'll say that there's a pointer. All right, so that means at this specific location in memory, there is a value that points to some location in memory, right? Or at some point it's supposed to. It might not actually point at that time. If it's not set to a valid pointer, then it might just be 0x0, which isn't going to take us where we want to go. But if it's set up correctly, and we have a class or whatever it is we're trying to point to, and it's set up and exists, and we're pointing to it, there we go. 0x 2000. That is the location we're currently at. And we're going to say that this pointer points to, actually, I'll redo this because that's annoying me. And it's going to keep annoying me. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're going to say that this is, and I'm going to make it longer. All right, this is, whoops, pointer 2, and then we'll say 0x10. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that this specific area in memory, it has the value 0x1000. And that's basically says at that location, 0x1000, that we have something there that we want to get to, right? Or we want to reference or something. All right. So what does that do then? I'm going to change the color here. We'll use purple. All right. So that says, okay, I want to jump to that position, right? So 0x100. So that goes to this position in memory right here, right? So that's how we've jumped from that location to that location, right? And that's not normally how these will be set up because this specifically doesn't really do much. I mean, unless if it was like in a class specifically and the pointer was the first thing in the class, it could be done that way. But for the sake of this example, like I said, this will work. All right, so now we're gonna say that there is another class somewhere else in memory here. And I will make this color. There we go. All right, so there's another class in memory, right? And I'm not going to actually draw this class out because I already did one. But, excuse me. Oh, excuse me again. Okay. And excuse me again. All right, so we're going to say that the location is going to start at 0x3000. All right, so that's the starting the starting location of this class, right? All right, and we're gonna say that offset of 0x8 is actually a pointer in that class. All right, so this is obviously not where this would be or a scale, but because I'm running out of room here, we're going to say it's right about there. And down here, and it would be equal to 0x3008, right? Because we have to take that offset of 8 to get to that specific location. All right, so that's where we're currently at, and we're going to say down here that at that location, it's a pointer to 0x2000. Okay, so what does that do then? Okay, that means that if we get to this point here from somewhere, and we offset the location we're currently at, 0x3000, by 8 in hexadecimal, then we get to that pointer. And that pointer is equal to a value of 0x2000. Okay, so now we know where that points to, and we can go back to purple here. And this is going to actually, do I go that way? It's going to get kind of messy if I go that way. Whatever, we'll do it anyway. Okay, so we're going to go this way, and then we're going to go just like this. God, that looks messy. Okay, but anyway, this pointer here, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this way, because this will look a little bit cleaner. Put it right here. There. Okay, so basically at 0x3008, this pointer value that is equal to 0x2000 is telling us to go to that location of memory. So we jump to that location of memory. All right. All right, now we're going to say that we've reached the end after this next one. And in your programming, you got to have some area to start out with. You can't start out at the value and work your way backwards. You have to actually have something starting off that you know is going to be set that way and work your way up from there. So we're going to say, there's a lot of stuff I'm not going to explain here, but I'm not going to make this red. I already have red. I will make it brown. Okay, we're going to say that some area, we'll put it here actually. All right, we're going to say this area here is an area that has been allocated for a module inside of our program. So the way this works is when your program is loaded into memory, it's actually copied from the disk and it's copied into actual memory space. So it basically, starts at the beginning and loads that into memory so it can read it really, really fast, because reading from the disk is really, really slow compared to reading from the memory. So we're going to say that this area here was allocated at the beginning of the program, and it's going to hold a module, right? Okay, so I'm going to say that at position of, I'm going to have to put it up here because I'm running out of room. At the position of 0x1500, we're going to say that this is where this is loaded into memory, all right? And am I going to open another paint? I think I am, just because I'm out of room and I don't want to erase anything. All right, so we're going to say that this area here is the next thing we're drawing in here. All right, so now we're inside that module that was loaded. All right, now in the same way that we have our classes, they start off at what for our offset? They start off at, it's way too big. They start out at 0x0, right? And I'm actually not going to put that there. I will put that down here. All right, so that's our offset, 0x0. And remember, our starting location for this is going to be 0x1500. All right, so this is where we're actually at in memory, and this is going to be our offset, right? All right, so what we're going to say is we're going to pretend this module was a class. In the same way, we could offset off of it and get a specific value inside, that area. And there are certain things in the module that are referred to as static, and these are always going to be in the same place, not in memory, but in offset to that module. Okay, so what does that mean exactly? All right, we're going to say at, let's see, what are we going to put at? We'll say right about here. We'll say 0x1650. There we go. We're going to say at this value here, there is a pointer here, and I'm not using the right size here. And now I just made it really ugly, but I don't care. Okay, so at this specific point here, we are, where we want to be. This is going to be our static pointer. But you got to remember down here, there's an offset. So what is that an offset of? That would be an offset of, take 1650, make sure we're in hexadecimal, minus 1500. And as you can see, we have an offset of hexadecimal 150. All right, so I'll go ahead and write that down here. Offset 0x150. All right, so that means that offset 0x150, we have a static pointer, and just like we wrote it down here, or we're going to write it here. We're going to write pointer to, let's see, what is this a pointer to? We'll say 0x3000. Okay, there we go. All right, so now you see that if this is a pointer right here, and it's offset 0x150 from the start of the module, and for instance, a module could be like game.exe, game.dll, or any other extension. As long as the program itself knows how to read the file, it can be named anything, as long as you can get it to work. That's far more advanced. We're not going into any of that, obviously. So we're gonna move on. So we're gonna say this is the beginning here, right? So this is inside of our module, and I am going to say that the name of this module is oops, come on, stupid keyboard, game.exe. All right, so game.exe. So then how does this all fit together? How do we get from here to here? Well, like I said, we got to work our way up. Now, do I want to? I'll write it in this. No, I won't. Do I want to open another one? Yeah, I think I'll open another notepad and put it underneath. Just because it's separate. Okay, so at position game.exe here. Now remember, game.exe is the module. And game.exe, when it's written like this, in this format that I'm about to do, it actually means at the base starting point where that module is loaded into memory. All right, so game.exe plus 0x150. All right, and actually it's not written like that, it's actually just written like that. Okay, now what that means is we've actually gone from this value here, and just for the hell of it, we're gonna say what it is. Remember, we loaded into it loaded it into memory at that location 0x1500. So that's the base point where this module is loaded. All right, so 0x1500. That's our starting point where we load in, right? Okay. So at that point, to get to our static pointer that we need, we're going to offset by 150. And remember, that's hexadecimal. So in hexadecimal, we get to this offset position here, 0x150, and it points us to 0x3000. All right? So now that we've reached that point, we now know that that tells us to go to 0x3000. All right? So we've reached that point. Okay, so we're out of there, and now we're going to a different area of memory. So I'm going to minimize that. And now we're back to here. Remember, it's saying to go to 0x3000. Okay, where's that at? That is right here. But remember that it's not just our pointer value isn't at 0x3000, right? Our pointer value is at 0x3008, right? So how are we going to get there? Well, this value that we have currently, we're going to go to this value, but we're not going to read what's at that value. What we're actually going to do is we're going to take that value and we're going to offset it. And our offset is 0x8. So we're going to take 0x3000 plus 0x8. And that is going to give us 0x3008. Okay? So now that we have that value, we're currently right here. And remember, 0x3008 has a value that points us to 0x2000. All right? So now we're going to be jumping to this location here. All right? So that value of 0x2000, it does not actually have a offset value, so it would just be plus 0x0 for the offset, right? So obviously it would be that for the offset location, and at that location that pointer is equal to 0x100. Okay, so moving on. 0x1000. Okay, so now we're at this location right here. So now that we're at location, we've successfully reached our character class. Okay, so now remember, where is it? I put it somewhere because it was in the way. And now I don't. Hold on. Is that it? No, that's not it. Is that it? There it is. Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay. So I will bring this up here without trying to take up the entire screen. Okay, so remember at this 0x1000, which we're currently at, we wanted what again? We wanted the health. Now remember, offset 0x0 is waste of space, and offset 0x4 is health. So we need to go offset it of 0x4 to get that value. That means that 0x1000 plus 0x4 is equal to our health there. And that will be equal to 0x10004. Okay, so that means that at this specific value here, if we edit this area in memory, then we'd be changing the health. Or if we read from it, then, it would give us our health. All right, so, that would be a simple structure. And how is this written? This would actually be written like so. Oops. Come on. Okay, now this here is basically how a pointer structure works. As you can see here, this is the base module. This is where we'd start out with. And then we'd offset by that 150. And you notice here we don't actually have the pointer values here. We have the offsets. We use those offsets to go down the line. So, starting from beginning, game plus 150. So at that position there, 0x3000. And then we're going to add a hexadecimal offset, this one right here, 0x8. And inside of here, you can see that that puts us at here, 0x3008, and we go to the next one, but you see this one here doesn't actually have an offset off of it, so it's 0x0. So that means that right at that position, that's where the pointer's at. We jump from there, now we're at our character class. We need to get the health, so 0x4. So that means we're going to be taking the value of 0x1000 plus 0x4, which is 1004. And that, it gives us, the location. A more deep example here we can do. And we already know, this here works, so we can continue to use it. And I'm going to put it right here. Oops. All right, so we know that this works. But let's say that instead of getting the character's health, what if I wanted to get the character's spouse's MP or something? How did that work? Well, we already know how to get to the character's, the character class, right? We're there. All right, so it would just be a step further in. So let me go into here, and you remember that our spouse starts at 0xc. That means that at 0xc, that would get the pointer for our spouse, right? So now we're taking that pointer for our spouse, and we're saying, that's where we want to be. So now we're going to be at 0x1010 in here. And where do we want to be? We wanted the MP. MP is at 0x8, see, or right here, or more accurately 0x8 in here, since that's where we're at. We want the MP there, so 0x8. So now we have successfully gone in here, started at the main point of entry, our module. We've offsetted by 150, and then we go down along the line, blah blah blah. And at this point here, we're inside of our character class, and then we go into our character class and we say, we want to offset by C, right? So 0xc, we get to our spouse. Now we're in our spouse's class, and then off from there 0x8, which is to the MP. All right, so in this video I have explained, hopefully in less time than the last video, how pointers work and what they're used for. Without pointers, we wouldn't have any way of knowing where things are inside of our programs. And I hope I've at least a little bit explained how to use pointers, how the basic structures work, and a little bit more on how you can manipulate different things to work using pointers. This can also be used as a external program into another program. If you know the base module location for that memory, you can go into that memory at that location and say, yeah, let's go ahead and change this, or let's look at what it's at, and this is how programs are able to access other programs and communicate with each other externally. So yeah, this is great knowledge to have, and I didn't learn all of everything on my own. Like I did read up on what pointers were, but as far as the back end structure, I actually tried to read up on what exactly pointers do, and I looked at like video tutorials, and everyone was so good at explaining how the steps work, but nobody could really explain how or why they do what they do. So I actually had to go in and learn myself on how these things work to get what I needed done. And Yeah. So this is like the simplest way I can explain this, for how the pointers work. I did say I might go into arrays. I think I'm gonna make that a different video, just because we're at over an hour, like right now. So I think we're gonna end it right here. But I hope this answers your question on pointers. And if you have any other questions, go ahead and let me know.